are. Finally made it to the live. Let's see if anybody's going to show up. Hope I don't get stood up like on a date. You know what I mean? It's like you're so excited to do something, and then it's like, nobody showed up. But hopefully, it's not that way. If you're here, leave me a chat message. Let me know you're here because I can't really see anybody. I'm still learning how to do this. Um, Technically, I didn't tell people it was going to start till 8 o'clock, so wanted to get on here and make sure that everything went off pretty smooth. Um, I didn't want to get on here and then things start to mess up, or I have internet issues, or I have electricity issues, or you know how it goes. But I hope you guys are having an awesome Saturday. By the way, my name is 12 Gauge. If you've never been to any of my channels, content, or any of my podcasts, if you're watching this after the live, I hope you guys enjoy what it is that I present. Tonight, I'm going to present a little bit of true crime. I'm going to talk a little bit if anybody shows up. And I don't know if you can leave comments even after the live is over, but I've seen lives where it says hide chat replies. So I guess you can't. So I guess while the live is going, you can do leave the chat stuff, but after the live is over, then everything is done, put away, and on to the next. I've been doing this probably for, I don't know, when did I start doing this? Probably in January, maybe after, yeah, it had to be after Christmas. And I have, I think, 62 videos out, but they're not all true crime. They're not all podcasts. They're none of that. It's pretty much, like concerts. I've gone to a lot of concerts, and I was able to document a lot of the bands that I saw. I'm really into the alternative scene. Um, my favorite band there for a long time was Breaking Benjamin. Five Finger Death Punch. I saw them, and they put on a heck of a show. I mean, it was totally awesome. In the early '90s, I watched probably Limp Bizkit, DMX, Godsmack. I've seen the Up in Smoke tour with Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Exhibit, Ice Cube. I've seen a lot of country concerts, and it's just a lot of different variations. Obviously, I don't have any of the Up in Smoke tour concert footage because in the early 2000s, I really wasn't carrying around a cell phone. I guess I could have had a camera, but I didn't. So there's no real proof that I went other than my own memory. And that's how things go a lot of times, in the early 90s or the 90s, we didn't have cell phones. So whenever we say we did this, we did that, people often are like, well, no picture, no proof. So yeah, that's how it goes. So yeah, my page had a variety of things for different people. And like I said in my podcast today, it's different from the true crime stuff versus the podcast stuff, because the podcast stuff, it just you're able to just speak on a lot of different things, and you really don't have to worry about, backing up your information and things of that sort because it's open dialogue. The true crime stuff, unfortunately, there's a lot of things that you need to have solid research on what you're saying rather than just putting stuff out there. At least I don't believe in just putting stuff out there, my own thoughts and beliefs. I mean, tonight, if anybody shows up and we have the ability to have somebody come up on panel, or we have the ability to have people in the chat, then I might ask, certain things, and ask for people's educated guess, or their analytical mind and what they think happened or how it happened, or things of that nature. And I know that it's been going on for a long time, and it's probably not the most popular topic. It's kind of watering out because there's nothing out there. There's nothing out there new other than, and I'm talking about the Idaho 4. There's nothing new other than Chief Fry retiring. That's about it. That's all. That's about the newest stuff. So if it's not just that, there's nothing else really out there. So this isn't really different than, the podcast, or I guess the recorded streams, other than you're kind of waiting on people to come in and kind of hoping that they're going to come in, but not really certain if they're going to come in. I don't have a lot of subs. So theoretically, they probably are sleeping at this time if they're overseas, or they're waking up and going to work or something of that nature. So we'll see. We'll see if anybody shows up. I'll probably do an hour of this, or, if it's just me, I'll just do an hour, and I'll go over some cases that I've been wanting to go over, and I'll give some insight on some things that I've wanted to talk about. But, one thing that I want to be known is I'm my own person. If you come and watch my stuff, what I say and what I do is my own business. Like, if I say something that, I don't know, I try not to talk about people. I really do. But I might subliminally just drop somebody's behavior or something, and you might hear it, and you'll run back and say, hey, 12 Gauge said this about you, and 12 Gauge said that about you. Or you can come over here and tell me, hey, they said this about you and they said that about you. I'm not into the he said, she said stuff. I don't care, because in reality, none of the people that watch or comment or have an influence on me or on this YouTube, everybody that has an influence on my life is out here in real life. So to have a stranger sit there and talk about me, that's kindergarten stuff. And in reality, we do have the right to not like everything. We do have the right to not like everyone. It's kind of like somebody commented earlier on a creator, and it's not that I don't like the individual. I said I really don't care for him. And I'm going to kind of clarify that because I'm sure he'll get wind of it. Somebody will go and talk to him about it. But it's not that I don't like him. I don't really care for the breakdowns because there's no real, as I say, meat or teeth to what they're talking about. And that is no jab at the individual. That's what they call it in law enforcement. Hey, that thing has some teeth, so therefore it's going to grab. It's going to be able to hold tightly, so we don't lose this evidence. Um, I like discussing things where you're able to track the the information down where it goes to the end result, which would be the conviction or at least the court trial. But in the Idaho 4 case, a lot of that you can't do that with because of the gag order. There's a lot of things that you can get close and you can say, well, this was this and this person was there and this person could be a person of interest and this, that, and the other. But I don't really want to do that because I don't want to talk about people that first I don't know. Second of all, what if it was your kid that somebody was accusing of doing these things or being a part of these things, or the word that I heard a couple weeks ago was nefarious events on, what if it was that? Would you be so okay with somebody accusing your child of these malicious transferences? Would you be okay with that? I don't think you would. I don't think you'd be okay with, if it was your kid that saw these individuals at a food truck and then they ditched them, and then your kid became suspect number one because he was there the whole time, which it looked like he was being a good Samaritan. Who knows? It could have been totally the opposite. But video wise, it looked like he was being a good Samaritan. He was standing back, making sure that, he was protecting those two, or he was at least trying to make sure that he kept an eye on them, you know? And then they ditched him. They said, hey, we're done with this dude. He's been around too long. He's just standing around. He's not really, we really don't want to be with him. Got that ride share. Boom, we out. We burning off. But what I'm saying is, what if that was your child? Your child was theoretically the last person to see these people alive. And for weeks, this person was dragged through the mud. Everything about him was under a microscope. There was a statement that said he went to Africa, he hunted animals, so therefore he had to be the butcher. He had to be the one. And then it was Enan Harsh, and then it was that Jeremy guy, and then it was the four dudes caught in the street light running past the Banfield cops whenever they had those three holding for incarceration or alcohol charge. You just never know what situation you're going to put yourself in, especially in a college town. I was at a lot of frat parties, and not one time did I ever think, hey, after I leave this party, I'm going to hear that somebody was murdered, that somebody was hurt. You don't memorize everybody at the party. You don't memorize everything everybody's doing. You don't do all that. You're there to party. You're there to peep the women. You're there to, show that you're an alpha male. You're there to... I didn't realize I was out. You're there to just be young, wild, and free. The last thing on your mind is whether somebody's going to get hurt later that night or somebody's going to die. it's sad. It's sad all the way around because, you know, the boyfriend who got the calls, I think it was from 2 to 252. I think there were 10 calls, two from Maddie's phone. How much guilt must he have had the next morning? But how many of us have ever done that? How many of us have ever done that? Ignored our ex's phone calls, especially that late at night, because you're like, man, I don't want to hear all this. And supposedly he was at the corner club, in that picture. A lot, it's been said that that image looked like him. And we'll definitely find out. We'll definitely find out. Um, and we'll see if it was really him. But think of the guilt he's under, you know? He didn't look too torn up though at the vigil. I mean, that that just kind of that was weird to me. And once again, I'm not throwing shade on him. I'm not, accusing him of anything. But people grieve differently. But you're there with her parents, people that you've been around for a long time. They know you. They've taken you on vacation with them. You've done this, that, and the other. I promise you, if I'd ever been around, and I have been around parents like that, and if their daughter would have been murdered, there's no way I could have held it together. Especially trying to be strong, trying to be strong for the family. But you know what? If you love this person, you realize that you're never going to see him again, ever. Maybe he was playing for the camera. Who knows? But I just thought that that was a little weird. So he must have some guilt. Or maybe he doesn't. He had the dog back. Maybe he's moved on with his life. Maybe he has another girlfriend. Maybe he's going on with his life and trying to get all this behind him, which a lot of people do at a particular point in time. They don't hang on to the situation as much as we've hung on to it because in their mind, hey, it's over. I can't do anything about it. I can't. I'm not hunting for the killer. I'm not trying to base my opinions on who it could be or who it could not be. But in the public's mind, they want that answer from him, so they ask those questions for him. Why isn't he acting broken down? Why isn't he being this or that and the other? I don't think that they've had any recent pictures of Jack D. If they have, I'm mistaken on that. And then there's Dylan. She was not only a surviving roommate, she was a witness to the perp walking by her door. And one thing that I've been thinking about that I wanted to talk about tonight because when I do those other uploads, I'm usually in a hurry. I'm trying to do them in like 30 minutes or so. Tonight I can take 3 hours if I want, 4 hours. I hope not, but whatever. One thing that really I couldn't understand about Dylan is she saw the eyebrows, but she didn't see the eyes. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but anytime that I interact with somebody, the first thing I see is their eyes. And maybe that's the therapist in me. Maybe that's just trying to see if this individual is trustworthy, see if this individual has any kind of attention issues, stuff like that. But I would have noticed Brian's eyes first before the bushy eyebrows. There's no way in hell I would have focused on the eyebrows. And then, you have people saying, well, she came out of her room 3 times. I believe she didn't come out 3 times. She just opened the door 3 times. If she would have came out of her room 3 times, I'm sure she would have seen more than just what she heard. Had she came out of her room, she would have seen a lot more, and I'm pretty certain she wouldn't have came out of the room again, especially knowing that this stuff was going on. The final time, she locks the door and goes to sleep. She locked the door and goes to sleep. That's a hard one. That's a hard one. It's always been hard since I read the PCA about it. Since I've heard multiple people talk about it. It's a hard one because living in a party house, I've lived in one. We were the party house. It was different with males though. We If we saw a female walking out dressed in black, I don't think we would have really. I mean, if it was dark, we wouldn't have really been like, "Oh, she just killed my buddy." I think it would have been more like, "Oh, she's out of here. She's on her way out." Unless there was blood dripping, and what kind of clad in black was it? I've heard people say wetsuit, heard people say scuba gear or whatever, stuff like that. Once again, we'll find that out. We'll find all that out. Because as smart as this person was, maybe he wasn't so smart at all. And then let's get to Bethany. I wanted to say Methany. Wow. Bethany. What's her story? What are we going to hear? Are we going to hear that she went up her stairs and saw that man running out or not running, but walking briskly out the slider door? Maybe dressed in different outfit? Did she see somebody in the front yard just lurking around? She said they heard the dog barking. Okay, they heard the dog barking. So if you hear the dog barking, are you still going to shut your door and lock it? Are you going to listen to see if Kaylee goes and tells the dog to be quiet? Are you going to lay there and wonder what you just heard? It's okay. I'm here to help you. It's okay. I'm here to help you. I've heard that is police jargon. Policemen say that. First responders say that too. It's okay. I'm here to help you. There's something going on. I'm here to help you. Or maybe a caring friend. Hey, it's okay. I'm here to help you. Relax. Because you'd be in shock, especially if you saw all that blood everywhere. You'd be in shock if you identified all that traumatic event that happened. Would you be calm? No, you wouldn't. Chances are you'd be a mess. Maybe this person who she heard, it's okay, I'm here to help you. It was a male's voice, she said. Has she ever heard that male's voice before? Was it a deep voice? Was it a high pitched voice? What kind of voice was it? Was it squeaky? Some of these questions I'm sure were asked because if you're asking somebody, hey, what did you notice about the voice? Was it deep? Did it sound like a smoker's voice? Did it did it sound like a student? And was there anything else said? Was there anything else said? Did you notice anything else said? Because did the person say, okay, please help me, I'm in trouble? Please help me, I need some help. I'm in trouble. I need help. Please call the cop. Please get a doctor. Please, this, that, and the other. I'm sure we'll hear all that too. Whenever you get past that and then the person's already left the building and these two survivors go to sleep. Obviously, it's going to be a quiet night other than the dog barking. So did that barking stop? Did the dog stop barking? Or did he continue barking all night long? Do you yell at him to shut up? Did he finally be quiet? Is he scratching at the door? The next morning when you wake up, do you realize what has happened, or do you think that it's all a dream? Do you think, hey, did I really hear what I thought I heard last night? Was it just my roommates being loud? Was it the guys wrestling? Was it Ethan's friends wrestling around, horse playing? Was it screams of pain because somebody had somebody on the ground and you're horse playing and it hurts? Let me tell you a story, okay? Because we don't have anybody in here yet, I don't think. It shows that there's two people watching, and if you're watching, hi. I hope that you finally catch up to what I'm saying. Thank you for showing up. That makes me feel good that I'm not the only one talking to myself. But let me tell you a story. September 11th, 2001. Okay, September 10th is my birthday. So I went out and I got trashed. I didn't go to bed till 2, 3, 4 in the morning. I was trashed. I didn't hear nothing. Nothing. Obviously, September 11th happened about 9 something in the morning. My phone obviously was ringing from 10 o'clock until 1 o'clock when I finally answered it. So from 10 o'clock in the morning to 1 o'clock, I didn't hear a thing. I didn't hear the phone ringing. I passed out, didn't hear anything. I woke up in a stupor. My brother's like, he's active military. He's like, hey, they just they just bombed the World Trade Center. And I was living in the Dallas area at this time. So I thought the World Trade Center down on 35. That's where my mind went. I was like, what? Here in Dallas? He's like, no, in New York. So I'm like, oh. He's like, where have you been? I've been calling you. I've been, texting you. I've been not texting, but you've been calling me. And I was like, I was asleep. He's like, man, you're a deep sleeper. I turn on the TV. They're showing the replay. They're showing everything that's going on. And I'm like, whoa. I slept through all that. Even though I didn't know anybody in the World Trade Center, the rest of the day I was in a stupor. I was in like dumbfounded that there had been so many people that died. The towers went down. I felt sick. And the reason that I even said anything about that story is because I can kind of relate to being in a stupor where you don't hear anything. But they don't say that she was in a stupor. They made it sound like she was sober, like she wasn't on anything, that she was lucid enough to hear all the things that were going on. Once again, we will hear that at the trial. And if she was, and they say, I don't like that statement. I hate saying they say because they could be anybody. The mainstream media has said that there was released testimony from the grand jury that Bethany and Dylan were texting during the murders. So if she was that lucid to be texting Bethany, would she have not heard other things? Could she have not? I mean, those walls look thin, you could like yell in the house and probably hear it downstairs. Heck, Dylan was right underneath Maddie's room. So that was the walkthrough right there. That's how it ended. They get the call. At 11:58, police is called. And the rest lives in infamy until the trial. All that little bit that I just talked about, there's so much that has been involved. A lot of things that people have assumed. They talked about the white Elantra. They talked about it making certain turns and this and that and the other. I'm sorry, I hope this doesn't get too loud, but it's hot in here. It talks about the Elantra making turns, the Elantra driving around, and the time frame. So if they gathered those time frames from those surviving roommates' phones, that means that they started texting from the beginning of the assaults. That means one or both knew about what was going on from the moment it started. Did you hear that? No, what was that? I don't know. The dog's barking. There's yelling going on upstairs above me. There's muffled screams. There's muffled this. There's a fight sounding like it's a fight going on. And then it's over in 10 to 12 minutes. And here we are. Still talking about it. But I want to tell you one thing, okay? Because I know that I've talked about it a lot. I put in my educated analysis on it. I've even put the teeth into the areas of the case where they've talked about the exculpatory evidence, how you clear a crime scene, how you um, how you interrogate witnesses versus interview them. All those videos are on my page. They're not the most exciting videos that you might watch, but hey, they aren't bad, I don't think. It gives you a different perspective on what actually goes on rather than thinking that this was just a TV series and this is how things went about. I'm sure we'll either know or won't know how that knife sheath ended up in the bed, how the DNA was traced back to Mr. Koberger, or if he's even the killer. Because it's a 50-50 thing right now. I mean, he has a lot of evidence against him, of course, but think about certain individuals that faced less evidence and got convicted. So he could essentially be exonerated based on police messing up the investigative process. That's all I want to talk about as far as that's concerned, because like I said, it gets old. Gets old talking about it, but I wanted to talk about it in this live because I wanted to start it off with something. So I chose that. This next portion, I want to talk about Laken Riley. She was the Augusta, Georgia nursing student that lost her life to the illegal. And I pulled up this article and I want to talk about it. I want to talk about this article because this is a hot topic in our world right now. Not just her death, but the fact that there's a lot of illegals that are committing crimes against American citizens. And they're not even legal to be here. It says Laken Riley, murder suspect Jose Ibarra, lived it up in New York City after reportedly entering U.S. illegally. Social media posts appear to show. We won't listen to what she had to say. We'll just kind of read it. It says social media accounts appear to show the suspect in the murder of Georgia nursing student Laken Riley exploring New York City and posing with friends and family more than a year before the alleged killing. Jose Antonio Ibarra, 26, was arrested on Friday in connection with the death of Riley, whose body was found near a lake on the University of Georgia's campus the day before. In September 2022, however, the Venezuelan native looked carefree, smiling in Times Square at Rockefeller Center in New York City, posted on a Facebook account linked to his name shown. There's Laken right there. God bless your soul. Gosh. So tragic. So tragic. It says he allegedly entered the U.S. via El Paso, Texas, and was released from a detention center due to overcrowding, report said Saturday. Police sources in New York confirmed to New York, where'd it go? See, that's what I'm saying. Things happen. I'm like, what? Let's go back. Come on. Oh well. We'll pull up here in a minute. Here we go. It says police sources in New York confirmed to New Nation that a suspect matching Ibarra's name and age was arrested in the Big Apple for endangering a 5-year-old child last year. Endangering a 5-year-old child. So he's already messing up. What is he doing? Piece of trash. More recently, Ibarra appeared to share photos of himself with a handful of others, including a few romantic posts with an unidentified woman. His last TikTok post was a soundless selfie video posted just 2 days before his arrest and 1 day before Riley vanished during her morning jog. I mean, I'm not trying to sound any kind of way here, but no matter how much you try to be an American, if you don't hold the social values, speak the language, follow the law, and don't try to bring your beliefs from your country over here to try to make this country your country, you need to just stay where you're at, bro. I mean, look, you just like, okay, I'm here in New York, check me out. Ibarra is now staring down a slew of charges, including malice murder related to Riley's killing. He was snapped being arrested outside the Argo apartment complex in Athens this afternoon. This was a couple days ago. By Saturday afternoon, commentators had already descended on both profiles with comments calling him killer parasite. I agree. Death penalty for you, another commentator ranted. There he is right there. Trying to live the American dream by still being a Venezuela illegal. Ibarra's older brother, 29-year-old Diego Ibarra, is also in state custody on charges of holding a fake green card, the U.S. Attorney for Middle District, Georgia, said. The chances are 2 people are missing from a job in Georgia, so they had 2 call-ins, I'm sure. He was previously arrested in Athens, Georgia, 3 times before September and December 2023. 3 times. Social media accounts that appeared to be linked to Diego Ibarra show similar photos and videos, including Facebook footage of what he appeared to be a stack of guns that was posted in November. And here's the timeline. With Laken Riley, 22, found dead on campus with visible injuries after going for a run as suspect is taken into custody. Laken Riley, suspected killer Jose Ibarra, illegally entered the U.S. in 2022 and was cut loose due to the lack of detention space. Suspected nursing student killer Jose Ibarra is not a U.S. citizen, did not know the victim, Laken Riley. He didn't even know her. Another series of TikTok videos show him wearing a UGA t-shirt and badge and washing dishes in a large kitchen. Diego Ibarra presented a fake green card to the hiring unit to begin a temporary position as a dishwasher in the Bolton Dining Hall at the University of Georgia on February 6, 2024. He subsequently failed to submit further documentation required to keep the job and was never paid by the university. He had been fired. Riley was a student at UGA through the spring of 2023 when she transferred to the nursing program at nearby Augusta University. At a press conference Friday night, UGA Police Chief Jeffrey Clark said that Jose Ibarra did not know Riley and described the incident as a crime of opportunity. Isn't that what it always is? I mean, honestly, killers always look for the crime of opportunity. Always. Never have I heard, hey, this killer killed this person because it just felt right. No. It was an opportunity to hurt somebody and they took it, which is crap. It's kind of like, this is an opportunity to get away with this, so therefore I'm going to do it. I'm going to bounce. So, whenever somebody gets killed, it's tragic. Especially when they lose their life to somebody who wasn't even supposed to be in the country. Tragic. I mean, if you've seen some of my other podcasts and you've heard how I feel about illegals or nationals or whatever the hell they want to call themselves, they should just stay where they're at. I mean, honestly, it's hard enough over here for us that were born here. But it seems to be easier for them once they cross to be living the American dream. They're living the American dream off our hard work. And many people are going to be offended because they say, well, who's going to do the hard work? Not like you guys are going to do the hard work. You're going to show up and build the bridges and all this other stuff. Well, you know what? I don't know what to tell you. But illegal is illegal. You can't just circumvent the law based on your wants and your needs. We already have enough of that going on right now. You can't just do that because you feel that would be the best thing for your company. That would be the best thing for your lawn service. That would be the best thing for your community, because you know what? There's a lot of illegal activity that comes along with these individuals. Not all of them are like that. For the most part, there's a lot that are. Let's talk about Harmony Montgomery. Her father was found guilty of murdering the 5-year-old. It says Adam Montgomery was accused of beating his 5-year-old daughter to death in December 2019. Her remains have never been found. The father of Harmony Montgomery was convicted this week of murdering his 5-year-old daughter in 2019. God, another tragedy. On Thursday, a jury in New Hampshire found Adam Montgomery, 34, guilty of all 5 charges, including second-degree murder, second-degree assault, witness tampering, falsifying evidence, and abuse of a court. His trial reportedly lasted 2 weeks, and the jury delivered a verdict after about 1 day of deliberation that began Wednesday. According to WMUR-TV, Adam is scheduled to be sentenced sometime after April 1st and was not present in court when the verdict was read or throughout the trial. Adam was accused of beating Harmony to death in December 2019 after she became incontinent in their car. Harmony's remains have never been found. After the attack, Adam allegedly pulled into that parking lot of Burger King and he ordered his food. He ordered his food and he ate. He didn't stop to check on Harmony. He didn't look back at her. He didn't show any concern for his innocent little girl, the child he had just beaten. He ordered his food and he ate, and he didn't stop. Look at that precious angel. How could you put hands on somebody? She was young, you're cramped up in a car. I'm sure she wanted and needed to use the restroom. And I'm sure he didn't want to take what was needed to be a good dad. I'm not blaming the victim here. She did what I probably would do if I was in that position. I need to piss. I'm going to piss in the back seat. You don't want to take me somewhere? You think I'm just whining or crying for no reason? Well, you know what? I'm sorry. In the months after the girl's death, Adam toted Harmony's body in a red Under Armour duffel bag, tied up in trash bags all over Manchester, New Hampshire. Authorities said he placed Harmony's body in a cooler, and slowed her over a vent in a shelter he shared with his wife and two sons. It says stowed her. Man, I need to wear my glasses. Then authorities alleged he placed Harmony's body into a closet when neighbors complained of the smell, and then snuck her remains into his workplace freezer. So his wife and two sons didn't ever think, hey, where's Harmony? His wife didn't ask, where's Harmony at? Finally, in the early morning hours of March 2020, authorities said he carted her away in a U-Haul to dump her remains at an undisclosed location. Harmony wasn't reported missing until November 2021 when her biological mother, who had lost custody of her daughter because of a drug use, reported her missing. Crystal Sorey claimed she had not seen her daughter since a FaceTime call on Easter 2019, she told police. Adam was arrested about a year later in connection with Harmony's disappearance. Kayla, who pleaded guilty to charges that she lied to law enforcement to hinder their murder investigation, is serving an 18-month prison sentence. She should be doing the time too. I'm sure she knew about it. According to the Globe, Kayla testified that she complied with her husband's demand to help him move Harmony's remains out of the fear for her safety and the safety of her two sons. Bullshit. She was probably an addict too. Two addicts conspiring. He probably was the plug. And she didn't want to lose her ability to get high for free and somebody to take care of her sons. So she concocted a story that pinned the blame on her husband. During opening arguments, Adam admitted in a video call to the presiding judge that he was guilty of abuse of a corpse and falsifying evidence. Adam is currently serving a 30-year prison sentence for an unrelated gun conviction. So he got more time for a gun conviction than he did for killing his daughter. What is wrong with this country, man? Little kids aren't safe. Hell, mid-sized kids aren't safe, young adults aren't safe. It's like people are getting snatched up. People are getting trafficked. These parents are killing their kids. Kids are killing their parents. I'm a believer, so I know where all this comes from. But I'm not going to get religious on here because that's not the format or the place. But man, that's just tragic. It's freaking tragic. That little girl, Lakin, went for a morning jog and she died because of it. She was murdered. Don't you just love how the mainstream media like to paint it where she would just, they put it like she was, they don't say murdered. They say she lost her life or she died. No, she didn't just die. She was murdered. Get it right. You know, it's terrible, this world we live in, man. And it seems like people just don't care. It's like they have more empathy toward an animal than they do a human being. How many people stop for a baby walking around in a diaper in a parking lot and try to find the mama? But you have two or three stray dogs walking around, boy, there's all kind of posts, there's all kinds of rebellion and upheaval. Come save these babies. They're up and walking around. And I'm not anywhere anti dog. So before you attack me, I'm not anti dog. But there's something wrong with that. Where you put more precedence on a dog's life than you would a little baby's life. I mean, he didn't want his daughter. All he had to do was go to a safe place and drop her off. So I'm a dope fiend. I can't take care of her. Here, she's yours. Help her out because, I can't do it. She pisses me off. She makes me angry. She ruins my buzz. You know, she's just too much. You take care of her. You women, y'all have it tough, man. And then you have those individuals that victim blame, it's because they wear these short shorts or they wear these yoga pants or they wear this and that and the other. They're they're asking for people to look at them and lust after them and want them. Come on. Come on, man. Grow up. If you don't have any more resolve than to see a woman in her yoga pants or her tight jeans or her crop top or whatever, a bikini, and not do anything to harm her because you have the lack of impulse or humanity to just let that moment pass by, you are the problem. I love women. I love watching women in all shapes, not all shapes, but you know, when they're looking good, when they're dressed up, when they're, on the beach, whenever they're in the gym, all these type of things. I love women. But at no point have I ever said, hey, I'm gonna go knock this one over the head and I'm gonna do what I want to do. And then I'm gonna take her out because she doesn't need to snitch on who I am. That's just idiotic, bro. It's idiotic. Well, it's an hour into it, and I said I was going to go an hour. So if you showed up and you know, you were able to enjoy what I had to say, leave a comment. I don't know if you can leave a chat comment, but leave a comment or something. Let me know that you enjoyed it or did enjoy it. I'm sure I'll keep doing these lives eventually. Once I do create a following that want to see me do lives, you know what I mean? Right now, the Idaho 4 stuff is It's a hot topic, but you know what? There's only so much you can talk about with that. And we're getting to the area of just trying to bring the last little bits of it because everything's been talked about. There's people have talked about all areas. So you guys have a nice night. Enjoy your weekend. And check out my podcast starting on Monday. Got a new one coming out. All right.